What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Dylan Talks Tone. So, today we're going to do a video that is a continuation of another video, not a continuation, a complementary video of another video that we did before. And that is, we did a video about how to wind a pickup, right? And then we, showed you how to hold the wire and all that kind of stuff. And a bunch of people were like, can you please show us kind of the other steps besides the actual wiring, the winding? There's some before stuff. How do you get from parts to a bobbin? How do you solder the wires into the bobbin after it's wound? How do you magnetize it? How do you, all those other various little steps. So between this video and the winding video that we made before, you should get a pretty good idea of what you can expect. So, and I should say that everything you see in the video today, from a completed pickup like this, like obviously you can go to Dylan Talks Tone and you can buy a completed pickup because we make pickups, that's what we do. Or we have a kit now on the website that you can purchase that includes the flat work, the magnets, the wire, the screws to mount it in your guitar, the little springs to adjust the height, all that kind of stuff comes in a little baggie, and you can make your tele pickups or your Strat pickups. Right now, that's all we have available. So that'll all be there. You can also buy flat work, so the phenolic material here, separately, and you can buy different magnet lengths and stuff to make your staggered pole pieces and that kind of stuff. You can buy all that stuff individually if you want to dip your toe into this pickup winding hobby / living, if you like. I encourage you to do that. Yeah, let's dive in. All right, so this is where everything starts. And honestly, it starts a little bit before this. For us, at Dylan Talks Tone, the bobbin material starts in sheets. And I think we've done a video on cutting this on the laser, and then we press the eyelets in and we get to this point. But for the kits that you buy usually from any number of vendors or sources online, including a Dylan Talks Tone, obviously, typically they'll come in this state. So you'll have your bottom bobbin cut out from the phenolic material. Usually the eyelets are pre-pressed in, like thusly. And then, when you get stuff from us, it's all washed off and there's no sticky crap all stuck all over it. When you buy it from other places, it's not always the case. And then we also have the top one as well. And then we've got our unmagnetized rod magnets. Now, of course, these come in a bunch of different variations of size, 187 thousandths, 195 thousandths, and then you have to have the flat work to complement that, right? So that the magnet fits in the hole properly. And then the other thing is they can come in a bunch of different lengths. But this is what we have available on the website right now. We actually have a bunch of different lengths of magnets available, but in the pickup kits, they are all one size just to get you started. But you can, of course, order all the individual parts and do whatever you want. So let's go ahead and let me show you how we press this together as a bobbin. There's a bunch of different ways to do this, but I'm going to give you the way I do it also. I'm going to kind of just show you because you could probably get a lot of this stuff, online or Amazon or somewhere, and do it yourself. Right, I'm going to try to do this in a way that doesn't block the camera. So basically what I do is, you see how these eyelets are fat on one side and thin on the other? So you want to have the thin side that's nice and flat against the bobbin because the wire is going to go around right here, right? So you want that to be 100% smooth. And then you just take this magnet, you put it next to this hole, and you press it. Now, you got to be real careful, make sure that it's all straight. This is one of the things that I really was worried about, or concerned with as I picked the size of the hole when I was designing these and cutting them on the laser. You don't want to do that, because I want them to go in there as a nice press fit. I don't want them to be too loose, but I don't want them to be so tight that you have I like them to slip in there tightly enough to where they don't come out. But at the same time, I want them to go in nice and straight and flat, right? You want them to be straight up and down. And a lot of times how you cut these holes, the size of these holes, if they're too small, they can be a little crooked. So I like to make sure when we designed these, I wanted them to be easy for people to use. So you didn't have to worry so much about, see how they're nice and straight across there? That's pretty dang cool, okay? So there you go. And at the bottoms here, we don't have a bunch of press out on the bottom. Sometimes if the hole's too small, you'll get a bunch of press out on the bottom. So then the next thing I like to do is go ahead and let's just put the top on, line it up the best we can. Again, nice fit because we want it to be easy to use, but we want it to fit properly so that the result is good. Now, as you are aware, with a Stratocaster, you have to have the magnets sticking out a little bit so that they come up through the cover, right? And when you design a pickup, the distance between the bottom bobbin and the top, bottom of the bobbin and the top of the bobbin is key. You want that to be whatever you design it for. So what I have, and you can do this a bunch of different ways. You can cut a piece of wood, you could cut 2 pieces of wood and put it on the side here to the depth that you want. You could do whatever you want. You know, you could take some stuff, stack it up between here, and then maybe have like a block of wood with a groove in it to put over the top and push down. You could do all kinds of different ways. The way we do it is I have this, this is UHMD material that slides in here like so. And then I have this piece of acrylic that I put on top. And when I line it up, it pushes down to the desired depth. And so now we have the magnets sticking up the proper amount. But more importantly than the magnets sticking up on the top, we have the proper distance. This is really key, the distance between here and here. Everything we do with the pickup design is based on that. So now it's nice and straight. It's nice and straight across. Now you could literally, if you wanted to, you could just like manually push this down, right, on the sides, but then it might be kind of all wonky and weavy and up and down. So it's just really nice to have some sort of template that you use to do that. At this point then, we go ahead and we wind the pickup. After we wind the pickup, well, I guess, you know, let's just wind this. You've already seen how we wind it. So I'm gonna go ahead and wind this really quick, and then we will do the after. Okay, so we've got the pickup wound. One of the questions that people had in one of the other videos was, how do I start and finish? It's not rocket science. Basically, I just run the wire through here and run it around a couple of times. See how it's looped? I do that just because it makes it stable. It doesn't pull out. It's not a big deal. So this is the start side. This is the finish side. When I get done, I just make sure that it's nice and flat against the bottom. You know, as I wrap it around the last time, make sure it rides against the bottom. Because what you don't want to have happen is you don't want to have the cover, you don't want to have it way up here on the bobbin and then have the cover break the wire when you put the cover on. So you want it nice and flat against the bottom like so. Wrap it around a couple of times, you know, just loop it through a couple of times so that it can sit, because a lot of times we'll wind a bunch of pickups at a time and then they'll just sit like this until we get an order for them. So then the next thing I do, and I actually learned this from a certain very old lady that used to work at Fender and make pickups. So I get them to this point and I fill the holes with solder. And the reason I do that is because then you can go ahead and check very easily the resistance of the coil, make sure that it's good, make sure that you don't have any issues, make sure that it's what you want, right? because you can put a meter on there very easily and do that. Now, if you have plain enamel wire or heavy form var wire, you may have to scrape this off with a file or a razor blade, the wire, because the insulation doesn't like to solder through. We use polynylon for reasons that we've discussed many times in many videos, and solder at this temperature, which I always solder at 800 because it's fast, burns right through that, and you can get continuity right away without damaging the wire, etc. If you hold heat to this wire for a long time, you will break it. All right, so then the next thing we do is we use, and this comes in our kit too, we use Gavit pushback wire. And the reason we use this wire is a couple of reasons. One is because it's wax finished already, so it looks really nice. It's got that nice vintage look to it. And two, it is pre-tinned. Some wire, if you were to go buy this off of Amazon or somewhere and get some cheap wire, it's not going to be pre-tinned. See, the entire wire has actually been pre-tinned. So that's why it bends and holds shape. But also, it really holds, or it really takes solder very quickly and easily. So you don't have to pre-tin the wire. So I basically just heat that solder up and I push it in. And then you take the other side and do the same thing. And the reason I do this, again, I learned this from an old Fender lady. Whoops. I didn't push it in far enough. Insert joke here. Okay. There we go. Just because it looks neater. It looks nice. All right. So there you go. And then we take our wires. We stuff them on through like so. Now, up until this point, we have not wax potted this pickup and we have not magnetized these magnets. They are not magnetized. When you buy them from us, or most places actually, they won't be magnetized and you'll have to magnetize them. There's a couple of different ways you can do this. I will show you the kind of do-it-yourself way, and I'll show you the way I do it. Now, this is the Mojo Tone one. But you can do this with any basic bench vise. And what you can do, I'll leave a link. Let me just say that what we have here is a regular, just flat bench vise, right? Like this is like a piece of cake, no big deal. You could use any bench vise. And we have two magnets in between here. And they're facing polarity towards each other. So you have north on one side going this way and south on one side going this way. And so then what you would do is you would take the magnet, and you would pass it between here about, however many times until you check your gauge and you get it to where you want. It really only takes a few times. This is the way I used to do it, but it takes a lot of time. A couple of notes about this. You can just buy magnets off of Amazon and do this. But I have tried that before and I've had varying results. The magnets that I would use for the quote unquote cheapest setup would be a bench vise from Harbor Freight or Amazon. I'll leave a link to one. And then StewMac makes some guitar repair magnets that are 1-inch circles, and they work awesome. This is actually my second magnetizing setup. My first magnetizing setup that I had used those StewMac magnets. I have since moved that setup out to Colorado because we do some pickup winding tutorials and classes in Colorado. And so I've got those out at Texas Toast Guitars. So that's where my StewMac magnets are. That's kind of like my third string setup now. This is my second string setup that we use. But let me show you what we actually use for real. So this is a machine, or a device, I guess, that I bought about a year ago to kind of scale up everything. Basically what this is a huge transformer. This thing weighs, well, you see how big it is. It's not that big. It weighs 48 pounds. It's super heavy. I have it kind of on the opposite side of the shop, away from all my other stuff. And basically what this is we have two metal plates here. Now you can tighten these down, but I don't. and I'll show you why in a minute. There's a big transformer in here, and when you hit this button, it creates a massive magnetic field between these two plates. And you see we have north labeled with a Sharpie on this side and south on this side. So if we were to make this is going to be a middle pickup. So we want to go north side up. Oh, actually, hang on. Yeah, I wired it as a south. We'll make it as south. Okay. So that's why I like to have this slid around, because when we slide this up to here, barely make it touch, and then we literally go like this. Watch. That's it. The thing is completely magnetized. Done. That pickup is now complete except for wax potting. So, I mean, are most people going to spend $800 for a device that magnetizes a pickup in 1 or 2 seconds? Probably not. I think the more approachable and more kind of DIY way at home, in fact, I mean, I did it for thousands of pickups, was just passing it between 2 magnets. And of course, having a reliable Gauss meter to measure that, let me show you what I have. This is the one that I got off of Amazon. You can measure in Tesla and in Gauss. I know that people will jump in the comments, the folks that don't actually make pickups and who actually don't really know a lot about what they're talking about, will jump through the hoops and say, well, that doesn't check it at the right frequency, it's whatever, it's blah, blah, blah. None of it matters. What you need to do is you need to have one device that is consistent from measurement to measurement. I don't care how my pickups compare to other people's pickups. I make a pickup that sounds good. Then I want to replicate that again and again and again. So as long as my pickups in my in-house are consistent from one to the next, which means no matter what the baseline measurement for this is, whether it's at a different whatever, doesn't matter. As long as I make pickup 1, I measure it with this, and the number is correct. I measure pickup 2, pickup 100, pickup 500, pickup 1,000, and now pickup, I don't know, 11 or 12,000, and they're all the same and they work properly. That's all I care. If this is not calibrated exactly the same as someone else's shop, makes no difference to me. I want a consistent product within my house. And so that's what I care about. So just don't worry about that too much. This thing's about $100, I think, but it is really a nice way to go. It's just got the little probe here, and you just put that on the magnet and you just measure it. It's pretty cool. I love this thing. It works good. I use it all the time. Okay. At that point, basically we just have a pickup that needs to be wax potted, and that is it. For a wax potting setup, I use a $15 crock pot and paraffin wax. I turn it on about an hour and a half before I am going to wax pot. I put it in there until the bubbles stop. I pull it out. I wipe it off with a paper towel. No rocket science. If you want me to do a video specifically about wax potting, we can, and maybe I can wax pot like 3 or 4 different kinds of pickups. So a P90, a humbucker, a single coil, a Telecaster bridge pickup and Telecaster neck pickup are a little different than a Strat pickup in how you wax pot them. So maybe if you want me to do a specific wax potting video, we can do that as well. And maybe we should do that actually. So maybe later this week I'll shoot that. But there you go. There's kind of the before and the after winding. This was a requested video by people that saw our how to wind a pickup video. Some of the before and after fooling around. Now, here's what I will say is all of this stuff is available at Dylan Talks Tone. You can go. I have confidence in these parts. Obviously, I use them myself. This is what we use. This pickup is going out to a customer. This is the same stuff that you can buy on our website for your personal hobby use. We have 0.650, 0.671, and 0.712 length magnets in 0.187 diameter. For those of you that have fooled around in the hobby, you'll know what those numbers mean. our flat work thickness is 0.92, I think, and then 0.62 tops, thin tops, which is industry standard. I personally like the gray felt. Some people don't like it because they think it's too CBS, but I like it because it's more reliable. I don't care about vintage spec as much as I want it to be reliable and I want it to be a quality, repeatable product. That's what I care about. And if I'm going to sell it to you, I want you to have that same thing too. I'll leave links to all this stuff. When you buy a full kit, it's going to come with everything here and well, the coil springs and the screw to mount it in the guitar. The thing it is not going to come with is it's not going to come with a cover, because that's a choice that's left up to you for color. And it's also not going to come with the coil wire here. But I'll leave a link in the description to where I personally, if I was you in a hobby situation, buy coil wire from, because you can rely on the quality of it. That's the most important part. Some folks are going to look at my tool list in the description and they're going to be like, I could get it way cheaper from blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's cool. Do that if you like. However, what I like to say is, if you want to mess around with this as a hobby or as a profession, what you should be concerned with is not how to do it cheaper, but how to do it where you, A, really enjoy it and you don't have headaches and you don't have to fight with stuff, so that you will actually enjoy and have an accurate picture of what this looks like. You know, it's going to be hard enough to learn how to wind a pickup, like feeling the wire and all that kind of stuff, without having to deal with, oh man, the magnets don't fit the holes right, or they're falling out of the holes, or those are all problems. Oh, the flat work is all sticky. Now all my stuff is sticky. Like, all those things are really a thing. And they take away from the enjoyment of the hobby. For me, they take away from the efficiency of making my living. And that's really important to me. But for you who may be doing this as a hobby, you don't want to mess around with wire that doesn't solder very well. The flat work, like I said, the magnets fall, all those sorts of things. So getting good stuff will give you a better experience. There you go. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you guys have a good day. Do me a favor, hit the like button and the subscribe button. Check out all the links, all that kind of stuff. And if you want to buy individual parts, kits that include those parts, or completed pickups, Dylan Talks Tone, you know where to go. We will see you tomorrow.